You know how quick it is to spread false information that seems like it spreads like wildfire, and then people actually start to believe it, and then even years later, because it got so popular and that people really thought it was true, that when they hear about it, they still find it hard to believe that it's not true. But that's what happens in the fitness world. There's so much misinformation out there that these fitness myths have actually been instilled into your mind, and you actually believe it to be true, even though it's not, and many people have already debunked it through research, but you still believe it to be true. Well, I'm here to actually uncover the most popular fitness myths that are still holding you back, that you need to actually erase from your memory. I'm Lee Agbohlah with LTAPerformance. In this video, I will share the fitness myths that you need to erase so you can actually start putting in the right actions that are going to help yourself be in the best shape of your life. We're going to get into depth about it and actually tear it down so you understand and build up these new beliefs for yourself. The first one I want to tackle is the one that drives me crazy, and that's the reason I'm starting with this first. This is something that I talk about a lot, so you may be not a stranger to this if you've kept around to listen to some of the videos that I like to share. But this is something that is worth hammering because I hear it so often. And the first myth that we're going to debunk here is that carbs make you fat. So many diets are based off of low carbs, and it has continued to rise even after these low carb diets have been proven that there's no special secret to it and that carbs are actually amazing for you. So why is it still that we believe that carbs do make you fat? It's just because it has been spread where so many people believe it, and then so many of these false gurus continue to put it down your throat to believe that it's true. Now, these diets that have shown that, wow, when I take carbs out, I'm able to lose more weight and burn more fat. Well, it's a simple trick. It's all about a calorie deficit. So none of these diets have proven that it is carbs being the reason to make you fat. All that's happening is just restricting your calories. If you lower your calories, no matter what diet you do, you can do the M&M diet, you can do the Snickers diet, you can do the cookie diet. If you keep your calories in enough of a deficit, you will see the scale go down and you'll see your weight go down. Not telling you that health-wise that they're all going to be the same, but we know if you just get in a deficit, you're going to be able to lose the weight. Problem is when you try to think carbs is the rich issue where people have used it as, well, your insulin starts to spike. Well, insulin is always going to return to normal once you're done with your feeding stage, and eating other foods is going to spike your insulin as well. So the thing you got to understand when it comes to the carbs is to understand what people are saying are bad for you, that carbs make you fat, aren't really carbs. You can't categorize chips, cookies, these high processed foods that are high in fat as carbs because it has a carb source in it. Now, if we did that, then we need to label everything that has any type of macronutrient in it as the others, right? We know the three macronutrients are carbs, fats, and proteins. Now, you wouldn't say protein is bad for you because a Snickers has a gram of protein, or I'm not sure exactly what, but it has a little bit of protein in it, right? We're not going to categorize that as the protein is bad for you. So why do we do it with carbs? When it's highly processed with sugar and fat, it's not really a carb. It's more of a processed food because these things are going to be packed with other macronutrients as well. So we can't label it as carbs. The carbs that are actually good for you are unprocessed. Your grains, your fruits, your vegetables. So the people in the world that actually eat the highest concentration of carbs are actually the leanest in the world and have the lowest rates of obesity because they eat unprocessed foods, which is actually what you need to eat more of, which are high as carbs, but they're not packed with fats and sugars. So carbs do not make you fat. the food that you eat makes you fat, which are highly processed foods. So if you eat a lot of high processed foods, you will get fatter. So remove highly processed foods, voila, you're gonna see the weight come off. That's what you need to focus on, eating more unprocessed foods that are gonna help yourself out. So feel free to eat your carbs and not feel like you gotta remove those. Now that you know that carbs don't make you fat, the second thing you need to get rid of is thinking that cardio is better for fat loss than resistance training or weight training. So when we look at this is something that has been carried over for a while. They actually created where they told people that you need to get in the fat burning zone, right? They were told that within cardio, you're gonna burn more fat when you are at a lower intensity. And that kicked on to people where they thought, wow, we need to do more cardio. Well, why did it work? Because you're telling people we're gonna work less. If I work less and I get to burn more fat, that's a no-brainer. So using that pseudoscience, which is straight BS, it got people to believe that cardio was better than resistance training. And they even believed doing lower intensity was better because you could burn more fat. While cardio can burn more fat versus resistance training during a workout, that doesn't tell the whole story. That's telling you part of the story. It's just when you see a headline and it uses somebody's soundbite of a word and gets that to believe as that was the main source of the information, and completely takes out of context the rest of the information that someone said. We know how frustrating that can be when someone takes everything out of context because they take a part of it. Well, that's what happens when you think about cardio being better than resistance training for burning fat, because you're only talking about the one part of the equation, which is the exact workout. While cardio, yes, will burn more fat than resistance training through the actual workout, you're not looking at the bigger picture, because what happens the most time that you're going to spend throughout the day? You're only going to work out 30 minutes, hour, and if you're overachiever, 2 hours. But that is less than majority of the time you're spending, right? We're talking less than 3% of your time. For some, even less than 2% of your time that you're putting into the workout. So what about the other rest of the time? Does that equate? Yes, it should. And what does resistance training do? It builds muscle. And muscle is what allows you to burn more fat. Now, I'm sure you've heard of your metabolism, which is the thing that will burn calories throughout the day, right? That's what keeps your energy in check. So we know you're gonna burn a certain amount of calories throughout the day because of metabolism. The only way to boost your metabolism is by building more muscle. And why does muscle boost your metabolism? Because it is active tissue, more active than fat. So you are going to burn more calories versus someone that has a higher percentage of fat. That's why you can see your favorite athletes that are maybe 240, 260, 270 pounds, but they look like a brick house. They got plenty of muscle versus someone that's a couch potato that could even weigh less at 220 pounds and don't burn nowhere close to the amount of calories that they do. It's because muscle is more active. So if you only focus on just that part of the workout, you're missing the bigger picture to actually be able to be a lean machine, and that's burning more body fat. So the only way to do that effectively is through resistance training. It's like either weight training, your body weight, or any bands that you can think of. So cardio being better at burning fat than resistance training is not true, because you're not thinking about how building muscle allows you to burn more fat. And so if you want to burn more fat doing nothing, you got to build muscle through resistance training. So now you understand that carbs are not making fat. Cardio is not better for you for fat loss. You got those two things down, right? So you understand that. The third thing is you cannot burn more calories by sweating. This is something that drives me insane as well, because it has been thought that, well, the more that I sweat, the more calories I burn. All that's happening when you're sweating is you're increasing your body temperature. Your body is going to cool yourself down as a response. And that's what sweat happens. If we were not able to cool our bodies down, we would burn from the heat exhaustion, right? And we would die. That is why you actually are allowed to sweat, because you're cooling your body down. So you cannot burn more calories by sweating out. Now, what people get confused is water weight. Now, water weight doesn't have anything to do with burning more calories. Water weight is just what your body retains. Now, your body has a certain amount of water, right? We are mostly made up of water. So we have the ability to release the water weight that we have stored in our body. Now, there's many factors that allow us to do that. Well, sweating is one thing that we can do to get rid of some of the water weight. If you have seen competitive athletes, or you have been a competitive athlete yourself where you had to make a weight cut, you've probably utilized that, right? Where you have been able to shed a good amount of water weight and you see yourself lower on the scale. Now, unless you're a competitive athlete that is needing to cut weight, that has no effective use for you. Because what does it matter if you're losing more water weight when you have more body fat still? It means absolutely nothing. So what you have to understand is you cannot sweat your way out to burning more calories. The way that you can burn more calories is by being effective within your nutritional choices. Yes, a workout program is going to help, but by sweating more means absolutely nothing. Now, you may sweat more if you feel like you're working harder through the workout, but there's a lot of things that can make you sweat that doesn't mean absolutely nothing, right? Doesn't mean diddly squat. So what you got to understand is don't focus on how much you're going to sweat. So this is for the people out there that are buying sweatsuits still to this day, where they're going outside and they're sweating, just dropping puddles, or they're going into the gym and they got their sweat everywhere over the gym. Now you're causing more of issues for other people, where it's a sanitation problem where you're just sweating everywhere, or you're hopping in the sauna with a sauna suit. That is not going to allow you to burn more, right? All you're doing is you're sweating more. So when you just go back to rehydrating yourself, you're putting all that water weight back on. That is what people that actually cut weight are doing. Once they actually sweat it out, they're going to rehydrate, and then all the weight is going to come back on. That's what's happening. So don't try to outsmart it by thinking you're going to sweat more to lose more weight, and think that you actually did that because you saw the scale. Yes, you can burn more by sweating more as far as just the number on the scale, but you're not burning more fat. So do not waste your time by dehydrating yourself. That can actually be a detriment to yourself, because you could be putting yourself at risk for passing yourself out, or you got to check yourself into the hospital because of extreme dehydration, which is dangerous. And we don't want to do that. Extreme dehydration can lead to more serious things. So don't waste your time by doing that. Focus on things that actually are going to get rid of more of the fat, which is your nutritional choices that you have, and by having an effective workout program that's not focused on sweating more. If you can do that by erasing these myths, you will actually be able to put your energy into things that actually will matter. So, have you been guilty of this? You're not alone. So do not beat yourself up if you thought these things were actually true. This was here to uncover that so you understand what you need to do. So, as always, make sure you like and subscribe, and looking for more help, head to the resources below in the comments.